Welcome to the Free Play Arcade Podcast. I'm Chris Delp, the community liaison of Free Play Arcade, talking weirdly into a microphone. Beside me on this side, since the podcast is not about him, we will introduce our number one guest, commander of the art team, Josh Featherstone.
Hello.
Yes.
Nice, very nice.
And now we'll have an engaging conversation led by Corey Hayden, the CEO, who would like you to know just how important his title is.
Yes, I want to make sure everyone on YouTube knows that I think I'm the most important person. There's like the president of the U.S., and then there's the president of Free Play, and we're about equal in power, at least.
Yeah, roughly.
So we're here today to talk about... Wait, actually, let's make sure, before I burn a bunch of bridges, ruin a bunch of things, that I say subscribe for more content like this.
Subscribe now before you unsubscribe later in this podcast, but then resubscribe later when we ask you another time.
All right, so today we're talking about a company that is well known in the pinball community, but not really by like your normal person. And it's called deeproot Pinball. And I just wanted to do a podcast where we kind of talked about how weird it is that they exist, what they say they're doing, and everything like that. And I want to make sure I preface everything. deeproot is owned by an attorney. I'm an attorney. I would not like people saying that I was what was going on with my company or even talking about it. Now, I will say deeproot Pinball has released a lot of vague, speculative kind of press releases. So they've kind of brought this on themselves. So from the outset, we know nothing concrete. We know really nothing about this company. We're just going to be kind of talking about what they've said they're going to do and how crazy it all sounds.
I got a little preview of this podcast maybe a month ago. So I vaguely am aware of this is a weird, bizarre story involving pinball. But Josh,
no idea what he's
right. What do you know about Jersey Jack Pinball? Go.
I know they are a pinball manufacturer.
Do you know that, or did I just say Jersey Jack Pinball and then you assumed?
No, they are. Are they dialed in?
Hey, you do. All right. Yeah. So
right.
At least aware of some pinball.
So this is why
I'm not aware at all outside of what we're going to discuss right now about deeproot Pinball. I've never seen a deeproot Pinball.
And to be fair, all I know is what I've read. So I'm mostly going to be regurgitating, but I think it's so crazy. I wanted to talk to people about it.
It's fascinating.
So, and this is why I want to say that they've brought this on themselves. The very first sentence on the deeproot Pinball website is, "We know there's a lot of excitement around deeproot and its mysterious pinball project." That's it. That's their website, the first sentence. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. So deeproot is based in San Antonio, Texas. It's near us. And deeproot Pinball is also in San Antonio, Texas. So I think that's an important distinction. There is a fund that has allegedly raised $15 million.
Whoa.
Not necessarily just for deeproot Pinball, but for the deeproot funds that has at some point raised $15 million to invest in various projects. I can only assume deeproot Pinball is one of them. And now that's a big number, right? 15 million.
That's a huge number.
Like get you at least one pinball table.
If you came to me and you said, "Hey, I want to make pinball tables."
Which manufacturer?
I would say, for $1 million, you could build a very temporary, not necessarily you're not talking Stern, but you could build pinball. I mean, Spooky, I assume, got into it for less than $1 million, for example. And they're making pinball tables today. So deeproot Funds has
Spooky
raised...
table, go.
Total Nuclear Annihilation. Boom. He's got it. He's on it.
Man's an expert over here.
So deeproot raised $15 million. And they've said that they're getting into a lot of industries. There's a holding company that also owns deeproot Pinball called deeproot Tech. I went to their website. It has a lot of interesting stuff. They're on Silicon Drive in San Antonio instead of the other place.
This does sound like a Silicon Valley show, like Mad Libs.
Well, they have a management team. They've got a whole design teams and stuff. Now,
Let me see their pictures.
If you go to their website, they don't have any pictures. But if you go to one of their other websites, some of these people have pictures.
Nice.
Which is nice. So from the pinball perspective, because I don't really know what's going on in the background, but in 2015... deeproot says, "Hey, we're going to be the next big pinball." There's Stern. We're going to be the next one like that. We think there's a lot of money to be made in pinball.
Bet they're right.
Interesting.
At least in that hypothesis.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting concept. So they raise money, 2015, and they get into the business. 3 months later, they say, "Never mind. We're not going to do this."
Clearly, there's no future in pinball.
And is this as deeproot Pinball or deeproot?
This is as deeproot Pinball,
Okay.
or deeproot Tech. But not deeproot funds. Deeproot
Right.
funds is where some of the money at least is coming from.
Sure.
Deeproot Tech is the company that's doing some sort of tech work and also pinball. Deeproot Pinball is owned by Deeproot Tech. If you look at the Deeproot Pinball website and the Deeproot Tech website, most of the employees are the same. If you look at the Deeproot Funds website, some of the employees are the same with the tech and the pinball. I don't know. So they've raised a bunch of money. They said in 2015, here we come. And then never mind. Then mysteriously in October 2016, they're back. Mm-hmm. They say, hey guys, we're going to become the next big Stern. And everyone's like, I think we've heard this before.
Right.
This is 2016. So this is Free Play has been in existence for almost a year at this point. And so that's when I found out about them. I was already starting to look at which pinball tables are going to bring in, new pinballs, all that stuff. And I read about deeproot. I'm like, wow, I guess they're going to make some pinballs. So during 2016 and 2017, they begin to start marketing that they're going to become the next big pinball table,
So
manufacturer.
just the idea, not,
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not saying they have a table. They just start spending tens of thousands of dollars marketing. And everyone's just like, why? Where's this money coming from and why are y'all doing this? And so, for example, there are two top-level platinum IFPA, the pinball regulatory tournament body, sponsors. Stern Pinball, who has released, to their credit, 7 pinballs in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
New tables, they're not exactly original, but they're all new.
Quick, name 5 Stern tables.
Anything with a movie or music license.
Yeah,
There you go.
Name the biggest 10 movies in the last 10 years. You probably name all the Stern pinballs.
Right. But point being, Stern, very active.
Mm-hmm.
So, in 2017, Deeproot decides we need a designer. We need someone to actually make these tables. They've already spent tens of thousands of dollars marketing.
Steve Ritchie's
Steve
employed.
Ritchie's already there.
So they come to and this is where it's already kind of convoluted. It's going to get even more convoluted. So they decide, hey, there's this old pinball designer that we are aware of, and they're like, we've heard he's got kind of a sketchy something going on, but he's really good. His name is John Papaduik. This is a real name, allegedly. J-Pop is his forum name. And they say, we need to make pinball. He's the only one we really know and trust to make our pinball tables. So they hire him and allegedly sign him to a big development contract to develop new pinballs.
Does
So-
J-Pop have a past that we
Let's
know
talk
of?
Or a
about
favorite style of music?
J-pop. Well, let's talk about J-pop. So a few years back, around 2015, 2014, J-pop comes in. He says, "I'm going to make pinball tables
Sounds familiar.
independently," and so he started a company called Zidware. Zidware says we're going to make 3 pinball tables. They're going to be limited. They're going to cost $10,000 each. One of them's called Magic Girl. One of them's called Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland, and the other one is Alice in Wonderland. And they were going to make 30 to 40 of the Magic Girls. They're going to make 120, 150 of the Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland, and then Alice in Wonderland was going to be their first mass one where they could make thousands.
Very limited run.
So so they're trying to build up. They're trying to get their, which is probably a good plan.
Sure.
So they decide to they start selling pinballs. They start taking in money.
Gotcha. They're selling whether we haven't heard about an actual pinball yet.
But
no
they did better
ability-
in that there's names at
Right,
least.
right. So they
Names
have
of tables.
designs,
Yeah.
and they
They got
start
the expensive-
taking in money to eventually deliver these pinball tables.
Got the expensive IP rights on Alice in Wonderland.
I think it was
Public domain.
Yeah.
One of the last things to be in public domain.
So they contract out Magic Girl, and they say so they get this money in, and they're like, oh crap, we have to deliver products now. So Zidware, this is J-Pop's company, they deliver Magic Girl through a contract thing. They actually are delivering pinball tables.
There is a pinball table named Magic Girl out there.
Yes, they're not actually complete. They deliver them, but they're not really playable. They're buggy. The software never got figured out. But they're delivering them, and people are upset. But they did take those 20 or 30 tables to the public and give them to them. No one wants one. They're kind of busted. They don't work. But
Table surface is completely horizontal.
yeah, the software basically didn't work. They never figured out anything. They got the kind of design work, but as everyone in this room knows, designing a pinball and actually programming a pinball to work is two different things.
Right.
So they then decide, here's Magic Girl. We did it. We want y'all to start paying full price for Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland and Alice in Wonderland. And so they take in something like $500,000.
A success
in pinball orders, and they go out of business. That's it.
Oh no!
They just disappear.
RIP.
They got that $500,000 and they were gone.
RIP. No more code updates.
Yeah.
So they keep kind of saying, "Hey, we're gonna figure out something. We're gonna deliver these." So that's J-Pop. That's the person deeproot hired. He still owes a bunch of pinballs to a bunch of people, and no one likes him because that's a lot of money to just take out of the community. He says, "I don't have your money. I don't know what I mean." He's like, "I don't know what happened." He got sued and stuff, but I don't know what happened to all those lawsuits.
So but he did in some way make a pinball table named Magic Girl.
Yeah, so that was American Pinball. I
really
think they
set the
made Big
world on fire.
Lebowski later. A bunch of stuff that's all... most of the American Pinball stuff is fine that they've made. I think they've released a couple, but it's all kind of buggy, and Magic Girl was trash. Unplayable, not complete as delivered. And so J-Pop comes and he's like, "I know you all want your pinballs and money. I don't have it." The end. Until he gets hired by deeproot. And everyone's immediately like, what are y'all gonna make us whole or anything? And deeproot originally is like, no. I mean, guys, he's moved on, and so then
he's our employee now.
Then deeproot announced their first pinball.
Was it
Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland, and then everyone was like, "What? We paid $500,000."
Yes, but that was to that company, so none of those are valid.
And so here's where it gets, I think, as a businessman,
Speculation.
even more interesting. deeproot then changes their mind and they say, "We're going to deliver every single one that he sold. We're not going to get any of the money.
Ooh,
we're going to front all of that production and everything and make people whole." And everyone's like, "What?" Like every person that's has a concept of money is like, "That's really expensive."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah," and he actually didn't charge enough. It's going to cost us even more. It's going to and there's a lot of numbers thrown around, like $1 million to make the people whole, to deliver. And they say we're going to do it. deeproot has since created kind of like a more elaborate, like you have to sign a waiver saying you'll never sue anyone and stuff like that if you want your pinball table. But
Pre-sign it.
deeproot has said they're going to deliver these pinball tables. And
what year is this? 2016.
So we're in 20. Yeah, that was the end of 2016. So now we're about the middle of 2017, and people are like,
I think we all remember Zombie Adventureland.
Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland.
Yeah.
We're going to call it like Raza or something.
Yeah.
Raza.
So in 2017, the middle of 2017, everyone's like, "So where are our pinball tables? You've hired this guy." And they're like, "Guys, we'll figure it all out. It's going to come. They're going to come." This is 2017. And so then there's a suit against deeproot. So the plaintiffs of the case, they were suing J-Pop, say, "Wait a second, let's just go ahead and add deeproot to the lawsuit." And deeproot makes a full official settlement that says they're going to make everyone whole. They're just going to go ahead and do it. Okay. They will honor the terms of the original contracts,
which is
Raza's
what we will deliver
the
one
pinballs.
table. Some form of a pinball table.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, and I don't know
Maybe
if
they
Alice
could
in Wonderland
contract Stern and just have them like copy another old pinball table.
Well, that would have been a smart plan, but
Maybe
they
they
didn't
get
do that.
what is it? The Juicy Melons? They could just skin that one again.
Well, and so Retro Atomic, Raza, becomes their primary thing they're going to develop. This is 2017, and they say, "Yeah, we'll do it. We'll make everything whole." And then people start noticing that they don't have a way to make it right. There's no production facility for deeproot, and so people are like, "How are we actually going to get it?" And what's really crazy to me is the CEO of whatever this entity is, deeproot Games, Pinball, Tech, Funds, does an interview and they say, "Look, J-Pop is the most talented designer in the entire world. Someone just has to manage him. That's what we're here for. We're going to control what he's doing, and we're going to deliver all of these pinballs." And then during the interview, though, he's like, "We might change the whole table design."
There's a table design?
There might not be zombies.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, they had kind of like photos of what they thought it might look like.
There's a ramp, maybe two.
And then he's like, "We might change the theme.
Toy in the middle.
We might change the name." And then he says, this is what really got, people's eyebrows raised. The CEO says, and we can deliver pinballs cheaper than anyone's ever in the history of the world. We know a better way to make all pinball. And that's why I've raised $15 million because I'm going to deliver. I'm going to blow everyone's minds. We're going to be able to sell it for the same thing that other people are selling their pinballs for, and implying that that's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, but we're going to make more profit. Again, is his concept.
Again, this just doesn't. I don't know where this is going. I know I've never heard of Raza as a table,
right?
So I'm not thinking it's going anywhere nice, but at the same time, like, this does sound familiar, the tone of all this, which is, I do remember you guys ever see The Smartest Guys in the Room?
Yeah, the Enron movie.
Yes, the Enron movie, and they partnered up with Blockbuster Video at one point to bring in the 1990s streaming video content to everybody. They were going to stream movies in a very, very familiar sounding concept to us in 2019.
Idea. Great idea.
Yeah, they completely abandoned it. It was all vaporware, and Netflix was like, that's a really good idea. Let's just do it. And then they did it, and then they put Blockbuster out of business.
Yeah, I mean, and now they have their own issues. But that's another podcast.
It already sounds like so many GoFundMe, Indiegogo type things.
And I want to go ahead. Well, but that's what's crazy is though J-Pop received money, at this point deeproot has received no money except for outside funding and stuff. They've not taken anything from the community, which is
bizarre.
How are they doing this? It's crazy to think about. Now, what I'm going to say here right now is, as we talk about this, everything's going to sound really weird and convoluted. And that's not really necessary. I mean, we might not fully have all the facts, but a lot of it is just because the whole story is really weird and convoluted. So we were talking about they're going to make everyone whole. They're going to come up with some new way to build pinball. They're going to deliver it. They might tweak it or whatever, but they've figured out pinball. And what they say in October of 2017 is we have a big, huge announcement coming up, and then we're going to go dark for a while. You're going to be like,
at least a decade.
They're not going to deliver anything, and then they're going to, they will return one day like Willy Wonka or something and deliver the greatest thing that's ever happened to pinball. That's like what he's saying. So a couple weeks later, deeproot retracts its settlement offer to everyone. They say, I know we said we were going to make you whole, but never mind. And that's crazy, right? Everyone's like, what does that mean? What are y'all doing? And later, what we're going to find out is deeproot's going to come up with some way they think will make everyone whole. Ultimately, deeproot's not really on the hook, but they're willing to, like, out of the goodness of their heart, I guess, I don't know, deliver these pinball tables. But they did retract it. They, in a few weeks after retracting the settlement offer, they actually buy the rights from Zidware. So Zidware had been out there. They were making all these
Zidware
promises.
Still existed at that point.
That's what's surprising.
As an entity being sued. It turns out J-Pop didn't really have all the rights to Zidware. So a few weeks later, even though previously deeproot's been like, we're just going to make their games on their designs, or we'll tweak them, we'll do something. And finally, they actually, for the first time, buy some of those rights.
So wait, J-Pop does not own the rights to the company he started?
Yeah, apparently there's, and I don't know the full story, there's a guy named Zombie Yeti who also owned part of it.
Birth name, obviously.
Yes, clearly.
And so Zombie Yeti might have had some ownership of these designs. It might have been some of the funding for Zidware. The long story short is through some process, deeproot buys everything Zidware had. After promising to deliver these designs that they didn't know.
Is Zombie related to Dave or Buster?
I think his real last name is Packer. So then deeproot launches a website saying, here we come, we're coming. And everyone says, what does that even mean, guys? Like, what is going on? And so American Pinball, the people who made that Magic Girl, in the meantime, go ahead and sue deeproot and Zidware, saying, we never actually got paid for the games we made. And for whatever reason, the whole time, deeproot's like, we'll take care of them.
Yeah.
We've got money. And so the biggest thing here is, in the meantime, all this is happening. And deeproot's just like, we'll pay it. We'll cover it. Now, here's the weird thing. They're actually bringing money to the table. All of these people have actually been paid. In the meantime, deeproot is the biggest sponsor for the Texas Pinball Festival. deeproot is the biggest sponsor for the big tournament organization, IFPA. They're the biggest sponsor for every major pinball happening. They don't have a pinball table. We're still in 2017. Now, just as a side note, our real life right now is in 2019.
Yes.
Still haven't made a pinball table.
Still haven't heard of deeproot Pinball.
We're going to go through some
Outside of this
additional
conversation.
facts, but Deeproot has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on sponsorships. Definitely. I mean, we don't know the true terms of buying out all this stuff. Right. They've settled the claims.
I imagine a contract to J-Pop to be an employee.
Well, and now this is the other thing. Like, as an employer, I know like employees are expensive, and it's really like
especially this one.
Our biggest cost is employees. And they've had a team allegedly of like 30 or 40 people.
Wow.
Including like designers like J-Pop and stuff like that for these years. Allegedly back there figuring pinball out. That's millions of dollars of salaries. If it's real, I don't know. I mean, it could be.
Is there anything out there about Deeproot making anything that's not pinball related? A business, a product?
So I'm looking at the Deeproot Tech website.
Yeah.
They have
Seeing link. Lots of pictures.
They have a link to Zidware that then reroutes you to Deeproot Tech. So as they put the Zidware company on their website,
right? Their motto, "We'll make it right."
They say that they are a subsidiary of. Okay, this is actually a new company we haven't talked about. They're a subsidiary of Deeproot Capital, an affiliate company of Deeproot Funds. Now, I'm not making this. This is the website.
No, I can see it. I can see it right here.
And Deeproot Tech, our engineers are currently working on several tech-related projects, including Deeproot Pinball.
It's very specific there.
And yeah, so they've got a team filled with stuff. They've got news.
Well, working on
they have a news section.
There's a section on their website. But if you look at this, they've got management teams. They've got audio design teams. J-Pop is on this list.
Mm-hmm. What's the fantasy director that every director who bails on a project? That name is that on the
Robert,
list?
What is it?
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
but him. Yeah.
Has he directed a table for them?
Alan Smithy?
Is that Alan Smithy? Is Alan Smithy licensed employee as well?
Yeah. And again, they have said, they've told the public back in 2017. So this is in the middle of the story that we're telling you, that they raised $15 million for their projects. Now I don't know. So we'll continue. This is a long time to have a company, especially if it actually has with no revenue,
no beginning product,
with employees.
Because I remember
seemingly,
I remember 3D Realms and their 10-year cycle of Duke Nukem Forever had released programs before, at least. Like it was like 3D Realms, the makers of, and I think they released Prey in there at some point. Yeah. They had some products. It seemed like an awfully long development cycle. And truth be told, at UTD we would see them like doing voiceover. So they were doing work, but they were never releasing it.
Yeah.
These guys don't even have a table?
Is there an address?
Ever?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple addresses. There's office space. There's a lot of stuff on here. And
are we going to end up with like a tour of the Deeproot facilities after all this?
Well, I mean, I hope they watch this and they're like, I see where y'all are coming from, but we're not the first people to be like, Deeproot is because they have real money. Someone is spending money. And I have no idea. I mean, like, I'm not here to speculate that it's like there's anything like insidious going on.
Well, I suspect,
it's just crazy to me.
I suspect that you are in the business of buying quality pinball tables.
Sure. Yes.
And I suspect if deeproot Pinball releases what you play and find and deem to be a quality pinball table, that you will then invest in said quality pinball table, regardless of the really, really interesting backstory here. So, if they ever have something to show.
Well, and importantly, is there a magic girl in the warehouse somewhere?
I do not actually own one.
Yeah, I need to play that.
No. Wow. And so what was crazy, though, is back in 2017, that's when all the job ads come out. And Deeproot is hiring 3 to 7 mechanical techs at the time. More game designers besides J-Pop. AV department, filling it all out, sound engineers, graphic artists, everything.
The Smithy team.
They were not offering like low bottom basement salaries. They were like, we want a top tier team.
Well, when you're reinventing the creation of pinball.
So then they
do not go for this artist gig. Right. I am your friend.
So then they say
look them up when I get home.
Raza is coming. Then they say Raza is coming, and they go dark, kind of like they kind of said.
Yeah.
So then they launched a variety of websites. Like I'm looking at like 10 Deeproot websites. Deeproot, all these financial capital funds, all these different things, and I am not. I mean, I'm an investor. looking at the deeproot Funds website is the most concerning from an investment thing I've ever said, because it says,
Oh, Comic Sans.
yeah, it's basically like, here's a terrible font. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Innovative company, equity funds, investment options. That's their 1, 2, 3.
I'm almost all the way to my my convention bingo card.
Yeah.
Well, and their website ends, does your advisor or broker offer deeproot as an option in your portfolio? If
Definitely not.
If not, why not? That's the end. I mean, oh, and I'm really not trying to get sued here. But like, this is concerning. So we're still in 2017. I guess we'll.
There's more to this story.
Yeah, it keeps going.
At what point does deeproot root beer appear?
Right? Maybe they can make money. They can sell something at least.
They're going to revolutionize root beer.
So, I'm reading right now an interview of the CEO of deeproot. This has been the same guy. He's an attorney. And they're talking about, like, so you hired J-Pop. And they're like, yep. Were you surprised by the backlash of hiring J-Pop? No. That's the answer. If you could go back, would you choose a different designer? And he's like, J-Pop was the right decision at the right time. It would have been nice to have a little better luck with timing and PR, but the decision was the right one. That's his. I mean,
that's a solid yes.
I mean, the quality of the Raza table shows you.
And they're like, we see you're hiring other designers. Which other designers are you going to hire?
K-pop?
And the guy goes, I appreciate the follow-up question, but I have to honor confidential contract negotiations. I also have to respect the request of some of the guys that could get fired if they became public. So he's clearly throwing shade there at, like, Stern, right? Like, he's talking now. He's not. They've not. I don't know that they've hired anyone from Stern, but that's pretty much what he's trying to tell Stern. And to be fair, Stern should probably be concerned because these guys are throwing around money, like tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I feel like the
and
people
you don't
who
even
leave,
have to make a pinball
and they're
table.
not even making pinball. They're just collecting talent.
I feel like the people who would leave Stern should be more concerned.
Well, and so they then ask, and this is actually an interview, I think, from 2018. So this is when they're silent, but they're still doing interviews and stuff. And it says, were there any considerations to hire a designer that wasn't J-Pop? And they're like, we tried to get Scott Denesi, who designed TNA, right?
Very good. Met him in real life.
And then they were like, he was the only other one that wasn't really stylish, but he'd already signed with Spooky and
making great pinball.
Well,
tables.
what's really interesting though is, I mean, I have no idea of how these figures work, but I mean, Spooky, I know, is a small pinball house.
Yes, it is.
deeproot is the wealthiest pinball company in the history of the world.
Apparently.
I bet they could have got Scott Denesi. And then they talk. I mean, this is like.
I am very happy for the Scott Denesi table that I have played a million times, Total Nuclear Annihilation. And it has been released. And
eventually, so what's really interesting here is deeproot, I think, has a point in the middle of 2018. They're still trying to figure out this litigation against J-Pop with American Pinball, the original people, because they had offered that settlement. Then they retracted their settlement. And eventually they're just like, guys, whatever you get from this, you should be appreciative because we don't have to do this. Which, from a legal standpoint, is true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so they're like, we're trying to settle it, but they're being crazy. It is basically their point. Eventually, they, in late 2018, it looks like it works out everything. And what's really interesting is there's this hard-hitting interview where, I mean, this interviewer next says, has Zombie Yeti been paid in full for everything with Zidware? Doesn't he own that Magic Girl theme? And the guy's just like, we agree not to discuss this in public. It's really, I mean, and there's all these people that had been, and what's really crazy is eventually they make everyone kind of whole. deeproot just keeps paying people. Like they've paid.
But only with money.
Right, real
not
money.
with pinball.
And so they eventually, I mean, settle everything allegedly, and that brings us to kind of current day-ish. And hold on, let me pull that part up. And May 2019 is when they emerged from the dark.
Just a few months ago.
So these last few years, 2 years, we've been in the dark, but they've allegedly been behind the scenes working. And that was when they say, we know there's a lot of excitement around our mysterious pinball project. And we know there's some frustration.
Really?
But if we, and they say, if we wanted to compete, we wouldn't even exist. We don't care about that. We want to destroy. We want to be the ones. We've figured out pinball. This is innovative, never before seen pinball. I mean, and this is, everyone's just like, what? And then they say there's
revolutionary, invisible pinball.
Yeah.
So, and they actually say there's been endless speculation on forums or disseminated in the pinball media. They use the quotes. regarding our project, our finances, or even our separate and independent investment funds that have nothing to do with pinball. We've had some good laughs at what y'all are all saying at the experts. We will keep doing what we're doing and follow this schedule that we're laying out right
And
here.
we will clear up none of this mud.
Yeah, so
just let it
so
sit
they're
there.
like, we love the speculation, keep going.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, still, they've been paying tens of thousands of dollars in marketing. They've been going to pinball shows, handing out these elaborate flyers that are printed on like $10 per flyer printing paper. There's like, I mean, it's
Do
amazing.
not take this art job.
It's getting more tempting all the time.
So this then they've come out of the dark and they say June 28th, 2019. I don't know if they actually did this, but June 28th, which was just not that long ago, they will provide all Zidware claimants who followed all of the things they had to file. They perfected their claim.
Both of them.
They did it within the time, and they signed the goodwill agreement choice that we gave them. They said, this is it. Don't sue us. We're just doing this out of the good of our hearts, I guess. They
Juicy melons with like a Raza taped over it. They give them that.
So what do they provide? Hold on. I don't even... Oh, they will provide a delivery date back in June. And then they will then know exactly how many pinball tables they have to deliver out of the good of their hearts, is what they're saying. November 15th, they were supposed to provide Raza prototypes.
Are supposed to? Were?
Oh, wait, no.
2018?
You're right. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
You're right. Sorry.
All right, so we might actually see
so November-
a pinball like 8 years later.
Yeah.
Maybe in the near future.
They
November
say
15th.
it will be available to play at the Houston Arcade Expo in November.
Ooh, close.
They then say fall 2019 to summer 2020 that they will launch Raza as the greatest pinball table of all time.
Clearly.
They will make all of our pinball promises that they... So what they're saying here is that back in 2018 they promised that they would have a bunch of playable pinballs. They didn't. They say 2019 will make good on everything we promised for 2018 will actually happen in 2019.
/2020.
And what I really love now, as a lawyer, I write like this all the time, so I can't criticize too much. But he says why he gives such a wide range. It's a year range on when they might have the pinball available. He says, knowing exactly when we launch is a valuable trade secret that allows our competitors a competitive advantage. So we will give you a year-long...
Stern doesn't need to know
'Cause
that they
obviously-
haven't even started production yet.
Yeah, they'll just drop a table in 2 weeks if they knew the date.
That's pretty much. There's so much stuff about deeproot, and I didn't want to be totally repetitive here. That's pretty much the deeproot story. But the bottom line is, since 2015, they've been working on making a pinball table, raising funds. No pinball table yet, and everyone. But at the same time, everyone is like, there's a lot of hype. Like they think this might save the pinball world from. I mean, not to be.
Well, surely at this point, the dollars per pinball table that's gone into it over 5 years has got to be
Divided by zero.
ridiculous.
Well, I guess that's the
imaginary.
thing.
You can't do that.
Yes, it is.
We need to talk about having office space for this many years, and
Right.
and I know they make jokes about the speculation of where their funds are going and
And
stuff.
yet,
But
It is hilarious.
They
would
have
not be hard to provide something.
well, seemingly they've had employees. They've been hiring and people working on it. I don't know if that's true. Like, because let me be clear here. I'm not saying this is what happened, but it could be as simple as, hey, J-Pop, you're in a lot of trouble. We could attach our name and try to help if you help us, and they might not have to pay him very much or anything if it clears his name. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
And it could be that the designers that they have are contract designers that they're going to put their name on the website and not give them an office, not have them or computers or anything, like just have them existing as people, and that's enough. They could have. Unfortunately, I just finally loaded the deeproot tech. They're not hiring right now.
I
was
sorry,
checking.
Josh.
I was checking.
I'll stay here.
They say come back later though. I mean, if you're willing to wait years and years and years, they're gonna. I don't know. Like
make
this
that
is
good.
this is really interesting.
To
And
get a deeproot table, we in the printing industry had a certain type of customer. We called them COD. I recommend you only get your deeproot tables via COD.
So, Corey, speaking from a legal standpoint, going back to people putting money into Zidware to something that's not delivered, and then I guess Zidware as a company saying, sorry, no product, no money either. How legally do you get around money going in and you not having to pay any of that back?
Well, I mean, the better question is, how did deeproot Pinball buy Zidware? And to date, has not actually delivered anything.
Yeah.
And they say it's all out of the good of our heart. And it's true that you could legally structure it. But if I was a plaintiff in the lawsuit, the person suing them, and they bought Zidware, I'd be like, how much did you pay for Zidware?
Right.
How much did you pay for these licenses? Why isn't that money coming to us?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't have the details of the lawsuit in front of me. But and lawyers can structure stuff in ways to avoid that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I would, as a plaintiff, I'd be blowing that whole thing up.
Yeah.
Because one, any material change in the company's ownership should be relevant to the court proceedings, should come into play, and any money going to the company. But it sounds like deeproot's just been paying third parties, not the people they're not giving their money back, but they've been paying people who have claims that like Zidware didn't pay me, I own part of the they've been paying those guys off to clear it up. And hold on, we're about to check out the Glassdoor reviews. But before we get to that, I want to go ahead and finish this interview because I scrolled down some more, and every answer from the deeproot CEO is amazing. And I'm only going to read one more because most of the times they'll answer like, "Can you give us any information on something X?"
Yeah.
No. That's the answer. But here is my favorite answer in an interview of all time, and I really need to learn how to give better interviews because as part of the goodwill terms on your webpage, you state deeproot Tech will deliver the games no later than June 30th, 2019. That didn't happen. Is that when we can expect to see a deeproot pinball machine for sale? Answer: when the masterpiece is ready. We will let everyone know. By the very terms, that would be the latest date permitted. But when the masterpiece is ready, we will let everyone know. I don't even know why I've ever answered anything otherwise. Like when Dallas Reserve is like, "Hey, Arlington's taking a little bit of a long time. Do you have any like information to give us?" And I should have just been like, "When the masterpiece is ready,
Right.
we'll let you know." Oh my god, that's amazing and just hilarious. And yeah, that's they've been doing that. Like,
yeah.
So the speculation, of course, here that I've kind of avoided because I don't want to get sued. The speculation from the internet is these guys raised money and are just like messing around. Yeah. That's the speculation. I'm not saying.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time,
but because they are spending money.
Because we haven't seen anything that approaches a pinball table of this pinball company.
If we've learned anything in the last 5 years, though, you can raise money really easily for a lot of people who are, money's tight. Yet suddenly you can get $1 million into an idea. So yeah.
So deeproot has Glassdoor reviews. So they've had employees, or maybe they've had employees, right? You don't necessarily. Does Freeplay have Glassdoor reviews? Oh my god!
Don't open that door.
Oh no! Hold on.
Oh no!
Oh no! No, I don't think so. I don't see any.
Let's deal with that next time.
Oh my gosh, guys! I just had like I was like, oh wait a second, I forgot this website exists. All right, so I'm just gonna go through the reviews in the order that it was displayed to me. So May 5th, 2017, a data engineer at deeproot. Now remember, they have allegedly a lot of other tech projects
so
going
many
on.
Different.
I have been working at deeproot full time. Is what it says. Pros: tension-free work. A lot to learn. Those are the two pros. Cons: less growth, not much creative. So that is the first 5 stars. Next review is a 2016 May. They have been working at deeproot full time for less than a year. They recommend there's a positive outlook according to the box to check. Sure. I don't know what a fresher is. But he says well suited for freshers. I don't know.
Straight out of college, maybe.
Exposure to various new technologies are the pros. The cons are depends on your opinion.
What?
So are these real reviews? Like it sounds like a robot wrote them.
Google Translate the Chinese and back again.
Yeah. Advice to management: follow constructive management rather than destructive management.
Oh my goodness. Again, my bingo card is going near blackout.
But that depends on your opinion of management, I guess.
So 2015, a deeproot Glassdoor review. I worked at deeproot less than a year.
I bet.
Pros: you get the chance to learn lots of things, specifically new cutting edge technology, which will definitely have a huge impact on computer science.
Okay.
This was written in 1970. What?
What's this reviewer's definition of the word specifically? Because I did not hear one specific term in there.
All right, hold on though. This is interesting. They wrote where they're from.
Oh.
Bangalore.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Wow. I've seen quite a few arcade reviews from there. Not free play reviews. Projected quite a few potential free play arcade community group members from Bangalore.
The cons were on the first day, you might find it a little difficult to take it all in. To take everything in at once will be very difficult because they're literally rewriting the book on computer science.
Right.
Yeah.
Without an actual book. Or writing. Or pinball.
The next review is, and guys, again, deeproot's doing weird stuff. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this has anything to do with the pinball.
You just walked into like the darkest government contract.
The next one is 5 stars. I simply loved working at deeproot. Awesome place to work. I enjoyed myself. Cons: I found nothing negative about deeproot. That's it. That's the con. There are no negatives.
You could have just stopped it. I found nothing.
What's your worst trait? My worst trait is that I try too hard.
Yeah, now this is the best one. This is from 2011. Now there are deeproot funds.
2011?
There are deeproot funds
Wow.
and deeproot stuff registered back then. I don't know. This is on the deeproot, and if you click the Nextdoor or the Glassdoor, sorry, Nextdoor is a whole different thing. If you click the Glassdoor link,
That's where your neighbors yell at me about my dog.
it goes to their website. So somehow, maybe this is connected. We don't know. So 2011, 3 stars.
Oh no.
But this is from America. Good place to start your career and move on. Now this is it's gonna be good. Competent people, good opportunities to learn. You could work on innovative projects. Extremely informal. Those are the pros.
Extremely.
Yeah.
All right, now the cons. There is no focus as a company.
Seems to be
Your
a con.
contribution may not be appreciated. Very
Or
good
noticed.
chance you will be put on support or other roles not having to do with your core focus.
Wow. That's because in 2015, someone found a pinball table for the first time and they found their focus.
Well,
this is it.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of people who've been like, guys, clearly the founder loves pinball, but what is like, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
And I have, again, like, no one wants to say a negative thing about deeproot in the pinball media because of all the money they're pouring into it.
Sure.
And of course, this is my perspective as a pinball buyer. Like, I found out about deeproot, and I kept looking for their pinball table.
Right.
Like, I kept being like,
Show me
wait a
this
second, wait,
pinball.
there's another pinball company. I got to figure this out. Where is their pinball table? And then I just started stumbling into stuff like this, where the company has no focus. They will change the world. Deeproot Pinball.
Yeah.
And if you actually, and this is, again, I don't want to get sued. I have no idea what I'm talking about. If this ever comes up in litigation, that will be, I will just say I have no idea what I'm talking about. The Deeproot Fund's website just keeps saying buzzwords. So right now it's flashing at Deeproot, relationships matter.
Good.
Hold on. Wait, we got the next one. We have a safety first philosophy.
No one has ever been injured playing any
Wow.
of their pinballs, Josh.
Yeah.
Innovative
Ever.
design
one
with
has
safety
ever.
in mind. Two of a kind investment portfolio.
Two of a kind?
I don't know. At Deeproot, relationships matter. Deeproot designs, administers, and manages alternative private equity and debenture funds for investors. We target lower risk profile
Oh, there's the safety.
by using a proprietary, innovative allocation blend of collateralized assets. All right, so guys.
All right. That's 3 too many buzzwords. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go vomit. I'll be right back.
But for now, hold on though. We're about to sign off. It's almost over. So that the end result defines us: solid alternative investment funds. Pinball. I don't know how it all connects, but we don't know. But we're running low on time. I just wanted to do a podcast where I talked about this because it's bizarre to me.
Fantastic.
It's interesting. That is again, no idea what I'm talking about. Please don't sue me. I don't have time for that. Deeproot Pinball. I really want to see their pinball table.
Well, and obviously there's a delay between these when these are recorded, when they come out, and at this point, Raza has been released.
Right.
Our lives have all been changed. World peace has been achieved.
It was
It's
the greatest
been
pinball
great.
experience
Yeah.
of all time. So much that it solved all of our problems.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like the end of Bill and Ted's
interpersonal
2
world,
is
yeah.
basically what happened.
Cannot
Yeah.
wait to have Raza right next to our arcade one up.
Yep. That is this podcast. Yikes, that was fun.
was
Signing
fun.
off. So make sure you subscribe. We're signing off till the next time. deeproot Pinball, Raza coming soon. Really excited to see the end product. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys. Subscribe.